Hello. Today I want to talk about some steps that will get more zest into your life. I'm Linda Babulek. I'm a personal business strategist that provides coaching. And what I've noticed is that in the coaching industry, we've got a problem. We've developed these silos of either the personal training, personal life, business or coaching, or the business coaching. Think of me as the heart that brings the two of them together, because I believe we want to have it all. We don't want to have everything to just go in one direction and then on our deathbed, like Steve Jobs, be regretting that we didn't have a life. Let's learn the lesson, and we want to have it all in our life. So we've heard it, eh? A journey begins with a single step. So does going around in circles, and that doesn't get us anywhere. The human brain craves certainty. We want to know that each step we take will be worth the effort, and it's taking us towards our goal, even if we don't know what our goal is. Interesting, eh? It's true. We want to make sure that every step we take is worth our effort. And every journey, before it even begins with the first step, it begins with our imagination. You imagine and dream of where you want to go and what direction you want to take, and it builds from there. So who's joining you on this journey to be taking the steps that you want to take? Every journey begins long before that first step is taken. Otherwise, you wouldn't know what direction to take that step in. So let me help you a little bit with step number one. Number one thing, wake up. Wake up to two major things, and it'll make a huge difference: life and reading. And we often take both of those for granted. Life. We all fall asleep to the beauty that surrounds us. I got sunshine in my office, sunshine on my hair, sunshine everywhere today. And sometimes, it's like, oh, I need my sunglasses. And we tend to complain about the beauty in our lives. We may complain about that bird outside of our window that's making a racket and we can't sleep in. That's okay. Let's just appreciate that we actually have birds in our life, and we have laughter and joy. We can often just go to sleep to what the words offer us. Being alive is a sacred privilege. I don't know about you, but I've been to way too many funerals lately, and I don't like it. And I appreciate that I'm on the upside of the grave. So let's all do that. Let's just appreciate a little bit more for our life. There was a time where I was sick for 3 years. And I'll tell you, when I came out of that, I had a much, much greater appreciation for life. And we're here on the planet for what? To live, to have relationships, to laugh, to cry, and to thirst, and to satisfy those hungers, those tears. That's what we're here for. It's good to have the hunger so we can satisfy them. Have you ever seen a sunrise? Taken the time to admire the beauty in a sunrise or a sunset and the promise that each sunrise brings? It's amazing to watch the colors. Have you ever been rained on and not complained about being wet? When I was in my early 20s in Northern Ontario, my walk to work took me about 30 minutes. It depended. It was my daily sacred time where I can have my thoughts and just connect with nature. And some days it was so cold that all I could do was count the steps before I got to work. That's all I could do. My mind was numb with the cold. I was so focused on just keep walking, because I swear I'd have frozen in my spot if I would have stopped. It's cold in Northern Ontario. And there were other days that I walked in the searing heat or in the pouring rain, and all I could focus on was, please, please don't let my false eyelashes fall off before I get to work. Yeah, false eyelashes. It was a thing then. And reading. So I was on my way to work at the front desk at the public library. And people would return their books to me and they would go, "Oh, you have to read this book. It's so good." And then I'd go on my break, I'd start to read the book, and pretty soon I'd start to read another book. And that's where I learned that I can read more than one book at the same time. You know, I could read a biography and a novel and a self-help book all at the same time, and they don't get mixed up in my head. It's a pretty good habit to have. I do it now. I listen to one genre of audiobook and I'm reading another book at the same time. Well, not literally at the same time. I get in my car, listen to the audiobook, and then when I sit down to read, I read a different kind of book. So that's the joy of reading. That's when I started to read and realized, reading a lot, that reading was a gift because we didn't have any books at my house. We had no books in my house. It just wasn't a thing. So many years later, when I moved to Ottawa, I was working for a member of parliament, and I got a note. I got a phone call from one of the constituents that said, I sent you a letter, I didn't get an answer. I said, well, I sent you the answer. I was in a hurry. Said, I'll send it to you again. Mailed off the letter, hung up. A few days later, he calls me again. He says, I didn't get it. I thought, well, that's weird. Just read it to me, sweetie. I said, okay. And it was halfway through reading it that my heart broke. That's when I realized this man didn't know how to read. He'd received the letters all right, but he didn't know how to read, and he was too embarrassed to ask somebody to read the letter. So it's really important for us to have compassion that not everybody knows how to read. I worked for the Correctional Service of Canada. 60% of inmates going into federal institutions can't read. They're between the ages of 18 and 25. Do you imagine what your life would be if you couldn't read? There'd be no Instagram, no social media. You wouldn't know what people were talking about. You can't apply for a job. So the fact that you can read and you're listening to this now, I am so grateful that you can read. So go into this weekend, read a book, enjoy a book. Heck, you can even read my book. It's a #1 bestseller on Amazon called Zest Your Life, A Taste of Inner Wisdom. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So I'm obviously preaching to the converted about reading, since you can read, but are you a reader? The other piece that I want to talk to you about is joining you're obviously on my YouTube, Instagram, but I've also got a Facebook group that I'm putting together that I would like to grow and expand, because I'm going to be posting more and more into that group and less in other places. So if you want to join, it's on Facebook, Linda Babuluk, Zest Your Life. I'd love to see you there. Thank you so much for joining me. And wake up, smell the roses, as they say, and enjoy some reading material. Thank you.